thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. Now, for those, you can watch us live on Facebook. We are live at Today 95.1 FM. You could drop your questions and I'll put them across to Titi. Now, Titi, let's get straight to this discussion. How would you describe, how can you briefly explain what generative AI is and how it is currently being used in journalism?
All right. So generative AI is as simple as saying that it's a type of artificial intelligence that produces new content in the sense of audio, in the sense of text, videos, infographics, basically an artificial intelligence that produces new content based on the data that it has been trained on. So that's primarily what generative AI is about. And how is it being used currently in the Nigerian media space or the media space generally? We use generative AI for transcription, one very important aspect for journalists because we have a lot of reporting to do. And so depending on if depending on the platform you're using, for instance, if you're probably working with a print platform, you would need to type out what you have what you've recorded. So it's helping journalists to transcribe their interviews, cutting through hours that would have been used to transcribe manually. You can also use AI to, summarize news reports. Usually, some media organizations, after a day's event has occurred, and you want to, the following day, you want to tell your public that, okay, this has happened the previous day, instead of sifting through all of the information and then all of the stories that have been published previously, you can use an AI to generate like a summary. You can use AI to create like explainers, video explainers. You can use it to create to create infographics almost in seconds. Yeah, you can use generative AI to create videos. You can use it for podcast as well to enhance the audio quality of a podcast or of an audio news report. So there are just so many ways that generative AI can help like the media space or the Nigerian media space generally.
Now, how would you describe the difference between AI as a tool versus AI as a replacement in journalism?
So AI as a tool would be using AI to support our workflow, to enhance our workflow. For instance, like I mentioned about transcription, it's cut down the hours in which you would have to do it manually. So usually you would maybe transcribe like a 30 minutes interview within maybe 1 to 2 hours. But now you have that particular piece of information in seconds. So you're using it as a tool to help you, to help your workflow. But as a replacement, you're using AI for everything, everything in the sense of saying AI should write your entire script from the beginning to the very end. That is lazy journalism. In fact, that is not journalism at all. Telling AI that AI should make editorial decisions for you. That is the one core thing about journalism is the ability to think critically. If AI is now determining how the flow of your work should go, it doesn't make any sense. So AI should be used as a tool, but not to be used as a decision as an editorial decision maker. Not to entirely write your scripts, your news reports from the beginning to the very end. It can guide you, it can create structures, but not do everything for you entirely. But in terms of tools, it can help you to, with your transcription purposes, it can help you get videos in minutes. So you can imagine if, for instance, you have like a multimedia desk and there's just one person producing video for that particular organization, and you have like say 20 reporters in a newsroom, and everybody is bringing their videos for maybe special reports. There's a limit to what a one person can do with 20 videos, but you have AI tools where you can just drop in the visuals or the pictures that you have taken from the film, and it can automatically create a video explainer about about the story you have just done. So it should be used as a tool, but not used entirely to do your story from start to finish, or you are leaving your entire editorial decision making process to it.
All right. Now, in the Nigerian context, where you see newsrooms often face tight budgets and staffing challenges, how can AI help reporters and editors work more efficiently?
So, particularly in areas where, like you mentioned, you don't have a lot of staff to help you with certain tasks. What you can
Yeah.
have AI to do is tasks that might be voluminous in nature. For instance, I know of of a newsroom in Nigeria that dedicates AI to write press releases. So what generative AI does is you have a particular data, you give the AI to this data, so produce anything based on this data. So what this particular news organization would do is most of the time when we get press releases from press officers from the government, we sort of just rewrite it in a way and then put it out there. So what the news organization do is that they feed the AI to previous news reports or press releases that they've rejected. So it can and also shared with it its house style because almost all media organizations they have it. They have their house style,
Yeah,
how
house style. Yeah, yeah.
grammatical, semantics, and everything. So you will feed it into the AI. So these are the published works we've done. This is our house style. Study the structure in it so that then you now, when the press releases come, for a reporter who has spent the whole day reporting like 10 stories in a day, and then you give the reporter a story to do, and that particular press release, you can imagine if it is timely, the reporter would it would be a lot of work on the reporter's hand. But you have somebody who just gets it, feeds it into the AI too, because the AI already understands that this is the flow in which the report should be done. It gives you in the manner in which the organization would want it, and then it cuts through time, so you can easily go ahead. Of course, you are not publishing it straight. Once you get any output from AI, I'm not saying you should go and publish it immediately. There has to be somebody who would look through it and then publish. But it costs through time that you would have used to, maybe check out some things before you eventually rewrite the entire press release.
Hmm. Now, what specific AI tools are Nigerian journalists already using, and which ones are most promising for local media houses in Nigeria?
All right. So thankfully, we are seeing some Nigerian journalists actually producing AI tools themselves. Nigerian journalists and Nigerian media organizations are producing AI tools. So, for instance, one that readily comes to mind is TurboScribe. Not Nigerian owned, but I'll go to the Nigerian one. TurboScribe is used to transcribe, and that's readily what journalists use a lot. Then there's News Assist AI produced by a Nigerian journalist. News Assist AI, the good thing about it, different from other AI tools produced or developed from the West, is that it can transcribe African languages. So if you, for instance, interview somebody in Yoruba and you want to transcribe it, it would help you to transcribe it in Yoruba. If you interview someone in Hausa, it would do same. It will summarize text from summarize anything for you in a particular African language, Swahili, Lesotho, and the likes. So News Assist AI, I know that journalists are using. There's also Story Spark AI as well, developed by a Nigerian journalist, where you are, most of the time journalists we dwell on one particular bit for several years, and it gets to a point it feels like that particular bit there's nothing you have not covered in it. So what that particular AI tool does is to help you to brainstorm ideas. So you can just speak in different topics in your bits, and then take all of these topics together and suggest ideas that you can explore further. You can do like an investigation on and the likes. I know journalists also make use of ChatGPT, maybe just for brainstorming purposes, for interviews, maybe getting maybe sources to interview, the likely persons to interview, basically the research process. Yeah, so those are the kinds of tools that journalists are currently using.
Yeah, it's still today's tech show on your premium station, today 95.1 FM, and we are discussing harnessing generative AI usage as a journalist in Nigeria. And I'm with Titilope Fadare. She's an generative AI expert, and she's giving us insights into generative AI. Now, Titi, let's talk about the ethics side of it. Now, what ethical concerns come let's say, what ethical concerns arise when using AI to generate news stories or summarizing events?
Okay, there will be the issue around bias. For instance, if you ask AI to, if you tell AI generate, if you type even to your Meta AI, for instance, you tell AI generate a picture of a scientist, it will just give you an image of most likely a man and a white man. It's very in rare occasions that it will even bring out a woman. Even if it brings out a woman, it's going to be a white woman. So there is gender bias.
I was asking you the question, what ethical concerns arise when using AI to generate news stories or summarize events?
All right. So in terms of generating news stories, I said
Mm,
I was talking about gender bias. If you just even take, now we even have um, AI is very accessible to us. If you make use of WhatsApp, you already make use of. There's Meta AI on it. So if people just
mm,
go to WhatsApp and say, and just to Meta AI and say, generate an image of scientists, for instance, it will
mm,
most likely give you a science, a male scientist and a white male scientist. It's only in rare cases that it
mm,
will bring out a woman, and even if it's a woman, it's going to be a white woman. So there is the representation for Africans is really low, and that's why we're hoping that more Africans generate AI tools. So when it comes to
mm,
gender bias, it's something that is there.
mm,
Another issue would be also, hallucinations as well, misinformation, hallucination, because I mean, like I mentioned, AI tools are basically function based on the data it has. So that
mm,
sometimes it might have technical glitches too. And so when you ask it a question, it will maybe give you something entirely different. It is only if you are
mm,
smart that you will now identify, oh, this particular response is false, and then you query it further, and then it will be like, oh, I'm so sorry, that was a mistake on my end, and all that stuff. So misinformation, in the misinformation aspect, it would most likely misinform you at some point. But as much as possible,
mm,
I usually advise that if any AI tool helps you to do anything, ensure you go through the output, double check it to be sure that there's no wrong, they didn't cite wrong sources, because it will most likely fake source or bring up sources that do not exist. The facts and figures are accurate, and you are basically just doing everything in line with the journalism, with the principles that guide journalism.
mm. Now, this question is very important to me personally. How should Nigerian newsrooms balance speed with accuracy when using AI tools?
Okay, so speed is, I understand that speed for some newsrooms is
Mm,
very important, particularly when it comes to breaking news. And these days we have a lot of media organizations, and everybody is fighting
yeah.
for eyeballs, fighting for ears and all that. In as much as to a large extent it helps the newsroom, it is very important that we verify everything that we put out there. So
Mm,
you can use AI for the quantity things that require that is voluminous, that will take a
mm,
lot of time to do, and then the final aspect of it should be verified by humans. So, for instance, even
mm,
beyond, say, transcription, you have to conduct an investigation, and you have like 20 or 30 documents for you to read to understand that, to pick out important information that you would need to write that investigative piece. There is Notebook LM, for instance, where you can feed
mm,
multiple AI tools to multiple documents into it, and have like a chat with the AI tools that, based on this particular publication I shared with you, what are the findings from it? Or what are the story ideas I can cover based on this particular publication. So it sort of helps you. So it reads it, and then it helps you to bring out the important aspects. So it saves a lot of time. So in terms of speed, the voluminous tasks, basically, AI can help you in that aspect. But ensure that after it has produced everything, verify that this piece of information has come from the actual source, or it is
mm.
verifiable, it is true. Yeah, that would be my response to that.
Mm. Now, what are some practical steps Nigerian media houses can take to integrate AI into their daily workflows safely?
So the first thing I would tell them to do is to start with the basic ones, with the ones that are low risk, the one low risk and bring high impact, the ones that you don't necessarily have to pay for, the ones that are not that are user friendly, and you can easily understand, you can make it. So you start with things like that. It's also important that they train their organizations. So working with the running this brand rather, I've gotten several invitations from different media organizations to train their reporters on how to make use of AI, different AI tools. So it's important that you train. If you want to embrace AI, you have to know how to make use of AI. So you need to train your reporters, train yeah, everybody in the newsroom on how to make use of AI tools. Another important thing is it's not just also making use of AI tools, but also having policies that guide the use of AI. So you don't want to, because using AI is a risk, yeah, and you don't want a situation where you get to plagiarize or you get to misinform. You will
Yeah.
be at risk of a legal battle. So as much as possible, you should have like an AI rules and regulation in your newsroom that would guide your reporters on how to make use of AI so that they don't use it indiscriminately. So that those are the points that I would give in that regard.
There are some that worry that AI might replace journalists. From your perspective, how will AI impact employment in Nigerian newsrooms? It's very important to a lot of people. There's that fear in Nigeria now.
So I would only say that AI, like every other new trend that has come into technology, would only
Yes.
replace a journalist if the journalist does not is not taking extra effort to learn the new trend, new developments. For instance, you can imagine if, say, I mean, there's been a lot of development in the journalism space. We grew from the newspapers, the radio. We're now seeing the digital space, and now there's also the immersive storytelling and all of that stuff, data journalism and all that. So assuming a print media organization, for instance, says, "Oh, it's only print we want to be doing," even up to now that there is internet, it's only print we want to be doing. How will you survive? So automatically your organization will just go, it will just cease to exist because people are no longer buying newspapers as they would. So you will need to understand what your consumers constantly consume. What are they interested in? So in whatever, and again, like I said, everybody is competing for eyeballs, competing for ears and everything. So whatever your consumer says, okay, this is new format, or this is the new form we want to be consuming your news, you have to go into it. So basically, AI will replace you if you do not learn how to make use of AI. That's basically what it is. So if you are saying I beg all those Western things, it will come to a time where AI will be the order of the day in different newsrooms. And if you are saying I'm a, in quotes, veteran, I don't make use of this and that, they would they would they would tell you to go. Do you understand? And they will bring in
Yeah.
young people who are very innovative, who are are in tune with the trendy ways of disseminating news, and use the person to replace. So you constantly have to be on top of your game and keep learning, basically. Yeah.
In 60 seconds, if you have one piece of advice for Nigerian journalists eager to adopt AI responsibly, what would it be?
I would say they should start slow. They shouldn't put so much pressure on themselves. They should start slow, start with the free tools, learn how to make use of it before you then advance. More importantly, I would say something about safety and privacy when it comes to AI tools. Assume that any piece of information you give to any AI tool is not private. So whatever piece of information you're giving to it, know that if it comes out there, then we are fine. Like, we are fine that people would know about it. So if you know that you're doing a very sensitive piece of information, and you know that you don't want anybody to get to know about it, don't put it into any AI tool. And lastly, I would say that if you are making use of any AI tool, do not sign in with your personal or work email address. Use a random email address to sign, because you do not know who has produced the AI tool. You don't know the agenda to which the AI tool was produced. So you have to be very mindful of your information, protect your information, and do not make use of your personal or official email address.
In 60 seconds again, and this is my final question to you. Can you tell us about your generative AI journalism with TT program? How is it helping Nigerian journalists upskill?
Okay, so generative AI journalism with TT basically is a platform that helps African journalists make use of AI tools creatively and ethically. To see AI
Mm,
to AI not a tool that would replace them, but as a tool that can enhance their workflow. So I share use cases of share different AI tools, how they work, and then provide use cases of how it would be implemented into a workflow. I also share tips
mm.
on ethics, privacy, ethics in particular, on how to ensure that they are telling their stories in a way that it's that the journalism requires for us to do. So basically, anything around AI and journalism, you will get that from generative AI journalism with CC.
Titilope Fadare, generative AI expert. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
You're welcome.